Hi guys, Neil at Italia Autos here. Welcome back to another episode on my channel. In this one, we're going to be working on the Fiat Coupe. Right, this episode we're going to be removing the rear subframe. To do that, we've got to take the exhaust off, remove the rear cover, take the fuel tank off, and then drop the subframe down. So we're going to start with the exhaust. It's not in the best of conditions, to be honest, but the customer wants me to try and salvage it, as this rebuild is quite an expensive one. But in my honest opinion is, I don't think there's much point in saving it because it's not going to last much longer. It's all rusty behind here, and it is a little bit bent. So we're going to remove that now and see what condition it's in. Oh, might as well snap. There we go. I bet that's not going to come apart easily. Well, it started moving. Right, that was actually surprisingly easy to take that exhaust off. So now we need to remove this rear valance so we can then get these fixings off for the fuel tank. Difficult, broken. I thought that one would. Well, typically this little nut here, which has to come off, has rusted away. So what I'm going to have to do is pull the fuel pump out, so I can then remove the tank and then have a look at that without the tank being in the way. There we go, one fuel tank removed, with only a little bit of fuel spillage, but I did manage to get the fuel tank as empty as possible. So the question is now, shall I leave the fuel pump hanging there and remove the subframe, and then I haven't got to mess with that just yet, or shall I crack on with that? I think I'm going to remove the subframe first. Let's just cable tie that up out the way somewhere. Right, we're now ready to drop the subframe. I've been in the back, disconnected the ABS sensors. I've also had a look at rust in the inner rear seals. Can't really show you here because there's not enough light or room to get back in. The driver's side lower inner sill is pretty much free from rust, but the driver's side one does have some rust on the inside, but we should be able to repair that. Right, the subframe itself isn't too bad. We've got a rusty brake pipe here, a little bit of corrosion on the brake balancer, but we can clean that up and redo that, that's not a problem. The rear suspension mounts are fine, a little bit of surface rust, but nothing to stress over at all. A little bit more on this side, but it's not too bad. So now we want to get this onto a pallet in the air so I can start stripping it all down. Right, now leave me to get this stripped down to all of its individual components, and join me once it's all stripped down. Right guys, there we go. We're all stripped down. Nothing was particularly difficult to remove. There was a couple of stubborn bolts, but nothing's snapped on me. I did have to cut a few of the brake pipes, or 2 brake pipes, because the joints weren't going to come undone, but they were going to get replaced anyway, so that doesn't matter. The worst bit seems to be these rear arms. Now to me, it does seem as though it looks worse than it actually is. Basically from the factory, these have got a little covering on them, and most of the covering is coming off. There is a little bit of metal coming with it, but I am hoping when I sandblast these, they will all come up nice and clean. The other issue we've got is these brake backing plates. They're going to disintegrate probably if I blast those, so we'll have to see what happens. The wheel bearings on both the rear ends are perfectly fine. ABS sensors are okay. Whether they'll come out for when I sandblast them, we don't know. So I will need to check and make sure they are available to purchase if I do need to get some, because I do need to be careful removing them if I do need to. Subframe itself, perfectly fine. I am going to be replacing the mounts, giving it a good blast, and getting that to be looking like new. Got the subframe all stripped down now. This is the extent of the rust. That is the worst bit there on the mounts there, so I need to see if I can get some more of those. That is the outer mount for the mounting point, which needs taking out. I forgot to do that, but as you can see, that is rather rusty, so it is a good job these mounts were being changed. So this subframe is too big for my sandblaster, so I am just about to take it off to a company to get it blasted for me. So I shall see you in a minute when hopefully we've got a nicely cleaned subframe. While the subframe is away being blasted, I have been carrying on with the underside of the coupe. So let's have a look at what I've been doing. All under here, I had quite a bit of rust, so I've managed to get under here and treat all the rust and then give it a rather thick stone chip. I've done all the boot well as well as the other chassis leg as well. So we're all good here. Right guys, got the subframe back yesterday evening. I've given it a quick coat of rust inhibitor, and now I'm going to be giving it a nice coat of acid etch and then painting it black. Subframe is now all done. I'm just going to leave that to dry. It's had the coat of acid etch, let that dry for a few hours, and I've now coated it in a base coat of just standard black and a nice coat of lacquer. So we shall leave that to dry overnight. Fingers crossed some more parts arrive today, tomorrow, so I can start rebuilding it. So what's left to do now? The subframe needs finishing off. I will finish that in the next episode. I'm waiting for some parts to come, the bushes for the subframe, some brake pipes, so I can start rebuilding that. So I think we will call that the end of the episode now. So thanks for watching. Please hit that like button, and also if it's the first time you've watched, consider subscribing, and I shall see you in the next video.